It happened in the blink of an eye, but it's the kind of blink that gets replayed millions of times on fan edits, dissected on Twitter threads, and analyzed on live stream replays until the emotion behind the moment almost speaks louder than words. You know it when you see it. That eerie, soul-pausing silence, the flicker of something unspoken, a stare that lasts just one beat too long. And that's exactly what the world witnessed when BTS's golden magne, Jungkook, turned to speak to Kim Taehyung, known and beloved as V, and the atmosphere, for one brief moment, shifted. A silence fell. Not the comfortable kind. The kind that begs a question: what happened between Jungkook and Taehyung? No one spoke of it, at least not at first. But the footage didn't lie. It wasn't a fumble, not a forgotten lyric, not a technical glitch in a concert or interview. It was a moment drenched in raw, quiet tension. Jungkook said something fans couldn't hear, and Taehyung didn't respond. Not with his usual smile, not with his signature sparkle, not even with a nod. Instead, his expression froze, blinked, looked down. Was it awkwardness? Was it hesitation? Or something deeper? Something that years of friendship, fandom, and flawless group synergy had kept well hidden under the surface? The internet went wild. Thousands of tweets poured in within hours. Why did we look like that? Did anyone notice Jungkook's face after Taehyung didn't reply? They're not okay, are they? No statement came from HYB. No follow-up was offered in V-Lives or Weverse posts. And maybe that's what made it so explosive. When two members of a group known for their brotherhood suddenly exude distance, even in just one unscripted moment, it opens the floodgates of curiosity, concern, and conspiracy. To understand the emotional weight of that strange silence, you have to understand what Jungkook and Taehyung mean to each other, and what they've always meant to the fans. From the earliest days of BTS's pre-debut training, these two were known as inseparable. Their bond was electric, magnetic. Jungkook, the youngest, often leaned into Taehyung's unpredictable warmth, while Taehyung gravitated toward Jungkook's sincerity and quiet strength. They shared late-night ramen, spontaneous covers, chaotic TikToks, and quiet, philosophical reflections. Jungkook once said Taehyung felt like home. Taehyung once said Jungkook was the little brother I didn't know I needed. So when silence appears where there used to be laughter, when hesitation takes the place of instinct, the change feels seismic, even if it's only a few seconds long. Some speculate it's the weight of growing up. BTS members are no longer teenagers. They're men navigating fame, identity, solo careers, enlistment, and the uncertain future of the group as a whole. Jungkook has been exploring a darker, moodier edge in his recent solo releases, while Taehyung has been channeling jazz, vintage melancholy, and a more introspective persona. Could it be that their creative visions, once in harmony, have started to diverge? Others whisper of something more personal. There's something in Taehyung's eyes. One fan wrote on a Reddit thread that reached thousands of upvotes overnight. He didn't just freeze. He retreated. And Jungkook knew. You can see it in the way his smile falters. He wasn't expecting that reaction. Another theory gained traction through body language analysis. Experts online examined frame-by-frame reactions from the viral moment. Jungkook leans in with openness, slight vulnerability. Taehyung looks down. His jaw tightens, shoulders tense, then softens, but doesn't speak. It's not anger, they claim. It's hurt, disappointment, maybe even fear. What could Jungkook have said to trigger that? No microphones caught the exchange. Was it a reminder? A private joke gone wrong? An unresolved issue surfacing at the worst possible time? And why did no one else in BTS react? Jimin stood nearby, his expression unreadable. RM kept looking forward. Jin was absent and listed. Suga and J-Hope, now seasoned with military life, were quieter than usual. It's as if the moment didn't happen, except to the two people caught in it and the millions who saw it unfold. It wasn't long before fans began compiling other, odd moments. Instances in recent fan signs, live streams, and interviews where Jungkook and Taehyung seemed slightly out of sync, where their laughter didn't quite line up, where old inside jokes didn't land the same way. Were we witnessing the slow drift of a friendship that once felt unbreakable, The heartbreak wasn't in the drama. It was in the silence. Silence speaks volumes, especially from voices we've come to rely on as symbols of unity and warmth. Jungkook and Taehyung weren't just idols, they were comfort. In a world fractured by loneliness, uncertainty, and noise, their bond was a kind of soft miracle, a realness you could believe in. So when that silence crept in, unannounced, unexplained, it rattled something inside of you as IT reminded us that even stars carry shadows, that even the strongest bonds can fray under pressure, that love, even platonic and brotherly, is not immune to change, and maybe that's what hurts the most. Still, fans refuse to give up hope. Maybe they just had a bad day, some say. Maybe it was nothing. Others cling to the idea that silence isn't always bad. Sometimes it's the pause before a conversation that matters. Sometimes it's the space where healing begins. Could this be that kind of silence? Neither Jungkook nor Taehyung has addressed the incident directly. But in a recent late-night Weverse post, Jungkook wrote something that sent the fandom into overdrive. Sometimes, you don't say what's in your heart because you hope the other person already knows. He didn't mention names. He didn't need to. The words hung in the air like that strange moment all over again. Soft, weighty, unfinished. And in that unfinishedness lies the question we can't stop asking. What really happened in that quiet space between two brothers the world thought it knew? One moment. One silence. 1,000 interpretations, but only one truth. Will we ever hear it? Or will it remain, like so many things in the BTS universe, a mystery whispered between the notes, the stares, the songs, and the silences? The next time Jungkook and Taehyung stand side by side, the world will be watching. Not just for the music, not just for the choreography, but for the way their eyes meet, for the pause before the next word, for the sound or absence of forgiveness, because sometimes the loudest truths are told in the quietest ways, and we're still listening. IT was supposed to be a regular moment in an otherwise electrifying BTS appearance, just a fleeting shot, an off-script interaction between two members who have shared hotel rooms, dorm bunks, and dreams since their teenage years. But the cameras, ever ruthless, caught something no scriptwriter could have planned, no director could have manufactured. Jungkook looked at Taehyung not as a performer in sync with his partner, but as a friend searching for recognition in the eyes of someone he once called closer than family. And Taehyung looked back, or rather didn't. And that's what broke us. Since that moment aired, it has become one of the most replayed clips among the ARMY community. Fans slowed it down, added captions, zoomed in on the micro-expressions. They weren't just analyzing a video, they were dissecting a connection. Because when Jungkook, always bold yet tender, turned to Taehyung with a smile that wasn't just professional, it was personal. He was met not with hostility, but with something more haunting: distance. What caused that distance? To answer that, we need to look further back than just this one moment. Rewind to 2013, when Jungkook was still bashful and Taehyung still surprising the world by simply existing. Their bond was instant. It was raw and uncomplicated. They giggled at nothing, poked fun at each other endlessly, and created an entire language of eye contact, in jokes and quiet loyalty. Taekook, fans called them. Not just a ship, not just a bromance, a symbol of something real in an industry that polishes everything to perfection. And countless behind-the-scenes clips, we saw it. Taehyung braiding Jungkook's hair before a show. Jungkook throwing his arms around Taehyung at award shows when emotions ran high. The look they shared after nailing a performance that could only be described as, "We did it, but time tests everything. And fame tests harder." As BTS grew into global icons, the members were no longer just boys running in the same direction. They became men carving out identities beyond the group, beyond each other. Jungkook began experimenting with sound and visuals, drifting into moody aesthetics, diving into fitness, tattoos, and personal expression. Taehyung, always enigmatic, embraced an old-soul elegance, French jazz, classical photography, smoky bars in Paris at midnight. They were still close, of course, still family in every way that mattered. But something shifted. You could see it if you knew what to look for. Fewer one-on-one live streams. More curated, group-wide content. Laughter that felt a little more cautious. Smiles that didn't always reach the eyes. Then came solo debuts. And with them, something even more telling. Separation by silence, and interviews. Both spoke highly of each other. But what they didn't say spoke louder. Gone were the spontaneous mentions, the playful bickering, the raw confessions of admiration. Jungkook was asked about the members he leaned on most. He mentioned RM. Taehyung was asked who he consulted during songwriting. He mentioned Jimin. Not out of malice. Just omission. Still, fans didn't worry. Not yet, because real relationships, especially those forged in fire, sweat, sleepless nights, and seven-man harmonies, don't dissolve easily. But they do change. Sometimes without anyone noticing. Sometimes until it's too late, when that silent moment aired. Jungkook leaning in, saying something private. Taehyung freezing like he didn't know how to respond. It hit harder than any announcement ever could. Was it a culmination? Or a warning? Theories abound. Some say it's the natural drift of two people growing in different directions. Others believe there's something unresolved, an argument that went unspoken, a promise broken quietly off camera. Some point to military enlistment. The shadow of service looms over every male Korean idol, but BTS chose to stagger their service to protect the group. Jungkook and Taehyung have not enlisted yet as of this moment. Could the looming uncertainty be affecting them differently? Taehyung has always been introspective, prone to withdrawing when overwhelmed. Jungkook has always been expressive, almost too open for his own good. Maybe the silence was a mismatch of emotional timing. Maybe it was a plea misheard, a wall unintentionally built. There's also the burden of being watched. When every look, every glance, every interaction is dissected by millions of fans, you begin to perform your relationships. And in doing so, you sometimes lose the very thing that made them real. Maybe the silence was not a sign of brokenness, but exhaustion. Two boys who grew up in the public eye, now men, asking each other silently, can we just exist, without being expected to prove we're okay? But if that's true, why did Jungkook look hurt? In the milliseconds after Taehyung didn't respond, Jungkook's eyes shift. His mouth tightens slightly. He swallows. It's almost imperceptible, but it's there. And it's the kind of look that suggests a disappointment not in what was said, but in what wasn't. It's a look that says, I thought we were still us. And that's what shattered the hearts of fans watching live, because BTS isn't just a music group. It's a tapestry of brotherhood, loyalty, and chosen family. And Jungkook and Taehyung were always one of the most emotionally visible threads. When they falter, we all feel it. Not because we expect perfection, but because we believed in the realness of it all. And when that realness goes quiet, the silence is deafening. Still, there's hope in silence too. Hope that this was a temporary lapse, a miscommunication, a tired moment in a life built on moments too big for any one person to carry. In a post that followed days after the incident, Taehyung uploaded a photo of a quiet dawn sky, captioned simply, not everything needs to be said. He didn't mention Jungkook. He didn't need to. The message was clear. There are things spoken between souls that words could only flatten. Perhaps this silence isn't an ending. Perhaps it's just the breath before the next verse. Because silence doesn't always mean absence. Sometimes it means healing. But until that next verse arrives, the question remains, what did Jungkook say? And what did Taehyung hear or not hear? In that moment of hesitation, we may never get the answer, but we'll be listening all the same.